Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before I get going on this video, I wanted to tell you that if you can hear in the background, if you listen very closely, you might hear a 6-year-old sitting on the front porch singing Country Roads by John Denver. That is because my 6-year-old has a friend coming over to play with him, and so he decided he wants to wait for the next 40 minutes, I believe, for his friend to show up to play with him. And so he's sitting on my front porch and I can kind of hear him singing. He's decided that this song by John Denver is his favorite song now. And so he's singing Country Roads on the porch. Moving along. This is, I've got a window that's just popped up here. Hold on one second. This is an article called, if I can get this to go away. All right, article called ".com Boom Phase of Bitcoin and Blockchain is Yet to Arrive." Now, I have been talking about this topic a lot over the last few months, and so I wanted to just read you this first part because the theme of what I've been telling you is they've been trying to call blockchain or crypto and all this a bubble that has burst and all, and they've tried to compare it to the .com bubble, and the whole time I've been saying no. This isn't even close. We haven't even begun to even have the whisper of a bubble yet. And the reason is because the .com at the height was at somewhere between 9 and 13 trillion dollars. The crypto, if they call it a bubble, they know they're not telling the truth because crypto's never been above about $850 billion. That's no bubble. Not 20 years, especially not 20 years after the .com bubble, where the money to have the equivalent of that bubble in this day and time, with as many dollars as been printed since then, you'd have to get to more like 20 or 30 trillion dollars, or 40 even, to even approach what that bubble was in the year 1999 and 2000. But look at this. It says, we're at a point, this person got it right. We're at a point in time that is akin to 1998, before the .com boom. There will be countless billion-dollar companies built on this technology, but many are failing to see blockchain's larger potential. And then down here, .com bubble was a phase of extreme growth and adoption for the internet that happened from 1995 to 2000. During this phase, people realized the potential carried by the internet as one of the biggest use cases of it. Email appeared on the scene with aims of eradicating the traditional and extremely slow postal system. Almost 2 decades later, we are seemingly headed towards another bubble of growth and adoption. This time around, it's not the internet, but something that is built using it, the blockchain technology. Now listen to this last line, and take Bitcoin out and put in the word XRP. The email this time around is XRP that aims to eradicate the traditional banking system. That is what we're talking about here, folks. Okay, moving along. Now, this is from Crypto Utility Guy at John Heyman 7, and I want to show you the article that he sent me. Let me go ahead and get rid of this so I can make sure this computer doesn't slow down. Now, I want to make a point here. This is an article from Forbes. We know that Forbes and Bloomberg have been going out of their way to give us as much negativity about crypto as can possibly be had. Well, all of a sudden, yesterday, Forbes puts this out. Pension funds investing in crypto is a big deal. So now all of a sudden, it means something. Well, if you scroll down to the bottom, this is the first time I've seen anybody from Forbes say anything like this. He finishes this by saying, for the first time in about 18 months, I'm neutral on Bitcoin and crypto. So I'm not going to go any more into that, but like I've told you before, when this thing really goes in full motion, these traditional media, financial media arms will be the biggest cheerleader. They'll be bigger cheerleaders than you and I when it's all said and done, because then it'll be okay. Then they'll be helping their buddies in traditional finance to take credit for all of this. So mark my words, Forbes and Bloomberg will be all over this. Okay, but next I wanted to show you something that I got from Michael at VAL 5 links. Okay, he sent me this. Now I want to make a point about what's going on with Russia. Did Russia just purchase 1 million Bitcoin? What this article is about, you'll remember maybe a month ago or so, we were talking about how this guy in Russia, Vladislav Ginko, he was saying that I think he said the Russian central bank is about to start buying Bitcoin. Well, now he's doubling down on this. He says he's a lecturer in Moscow, at Moscow's Russian Presidential Academy of National Economy and Public Administration, forecast a massive purchase of Bitcoin by the Putin government in early January 2019. He told Mickey, which is this publication, he told Mickey in an exclusive interview that U.S. sanctions may be mitigated only through Bitcoin use, and that in February Russia's elite would dump U.S. assets and U.S. dollars and invest hugely in Bitcoins. Fast forward to February, and he's told Mickey the buying has begun. And this is his quote: 1 million BTC already accumulated, he said. Now, of course, Russia would probably do this behind the scenes, over the counter, or whatever. But I just wanted to make the point that Russia, whether they're doing this or not is not relevant. But the point is, and I'm going to show you here in another article, the point is that Russia sees what is going to happen with cryptocurrency. And I'll finish this point off, and then I'll make the larger point. This was about Russia too, and it came from Xmin XRP. At XRP33, give them a follow. And it's Russia right here. Russia to regulate crypto. I think we talked about this yesterday, but I don't think I discussed that this is going to be an oil-backed crypto. Russia to regulate crypto while launching its own oil-backed cryptocurrency. Russia could follow Venezuela in launching an oil-backed cryptocurrency to circumvent sanctions in international trade. Okay, now I want to go over the significance of this to you, the significance that I see, the big picture, okay? But first, before I do it, I want to throw some credit to C3 Nick. Back on May 10th, he said, follow the oil, #XRP. And I don't think it's just with Russia. I think it's also the Middle East that we're talking about here, okay? So let's look at this, because this is what it's really about. It's about the dollar as a reserve currency. That's what this is really about. I'm going to read to you. This is from Seeking Alpha, and I want to read to you. So I want to read to some of you out there do not understand the significance of a country being able to say that their fiat is declared the official reserve currency. But this is why it's so big, and this is why digital assets are about to change the entire game, and Russia knows it, China knows it, Iran knows it, and this is the reason that I would rather have my money in XRP than just about anything on the planet right now. Okay, listen to this. It began following the Nixon shock of the early 1970s, when after removing the direct convertibility between the US dollar and gold, President Richard Nixon sent Henry Kissinger to Saudi Arabia to barter a deal meant to strengthen the US dollar, which was falling quickly against other currencies at the time. Eventually, a deal was reached in which the kingdom would require all transactions for its oil to be conducted in US dollars, and the United States would supply it with weapons and protection. As Saudi Arabia was the largest exporter of oil in the world at the time, other oil producers followed suit for convenience. This forced oil importing countries to buy dollars on the foreign exchange market in order to pay for the oil that they import. It also resulted in oil exporting nations accumulating stockpiles of US dollars, which were then used to purchase US Treasury securities. The system thus had a desired effect of boosting the value of the US dollar above where it would otherwise be based on fundamentals and lowering interest rates in the United States. Thus, the artificial demand for US dollars and treasury assets has bestowed a unique privilege on the nation's economy. Well, folks, look what's going on. We've got Iran doing their own cryptocurrency, and every time you hear one of these cryptocurrencies having to do with China, Iran, and Russia, every time you hear it, and almost in the same sentence, they're talking about oil. This is what they're talking about. It's not a coincidence that you're seeing Chris Larson in the Middle East. None of this is a coincidence. You're seeing Chris Larson in the Middle East. XRP represents the digital asset that has a 5 to 6 year head start on all other digital assets in the world. XRP is making headway over in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, in all of these countries over there. Ripple. You keep seeing Ripple pop up. So the question is this: if you're the United States and you saw, you know that you've been able to have this monopoly, you've had this dollar as the reserve currency, and you know that Russia, China, Iran, and all of them have all this going on, and they know that this cryptocurrency thing is going to change the game. It sure would be smart, and I'm not saying that's what's going on, but this is just me thinking out loud. It sure would be smart for XRP, a U.S.-based company that's making the kind of headway that Ripple's making right now. Just my gut tells me that XRP could be the savior to some really powerful people in the United States. Or maybe it's even bigger than that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm only talking out loud about these things right now because something's afoot. There's a reason that Barry Silbert doesn't talk about Ripple and XRP. There's a reason. I'll keep saying it. There's a reason. This is not an accident. It's not an accident that they literally avoid the topic. I watched someone's video today that was sent to me, and I'll give the guy a shout out when I get a chance. I just don't remember his name right now, but he had watched one of my videos on this topic, and he was kind of giving his thoughts on it. And I've seen a lot of people giving their thoughts, but to me, it has to be a tie-in, something having to do with the U.S. dollar. This has to be somehow coordinated by very powerful people. It has to be, because they would not, people that are investors in Ripple, if I owned 1% of Ripple, you would never hear me talk about anything except Ripple and how great Ripple and XRP are, because it's financially in my interest to do so. Now I got a 6-year-old looking at the window at me. So I want to tell you this. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family to go read up on what it means for the U.S. dollar to be the world's reserve currency and what the U.S. stands to lose if it was not. And what would they plan? What could they possibly plan if they had a backup plan if they were to lose that status? With all these digital assets coming out, what would the backup plan be? What companies would it involve? Would they have someone that's making trips to the Middle East to make headways with digital assets or with all the oil people over there? If I was the United States, that's what I would be doing. Thanks for listening.